We couldn't find any,
Okay, I think we are on the air, everybody. So good afternoon, I can go, right? Good afternoon. This is a hearing of the Chatham Conservation Commission being held on May 25th, 2022, in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Chatham Wetlands Protection Bylaw and Regulations. My name is Bob Rawls, and I serve as the chair. Hearings are broadcast live on Channel 18 and are also recorded for the on-demand archives available on the town's website. Today's hearing is being conducted in person and by remote video conference. Remote meetings are currently allowed by the governor's authorization through July 15th, 2022. The agenda and copies of documents for review today are posted on the town's website. To all participants, after hearing from applicants, representatives, and interested parties, I will ask for comments and questions from commissioners. Please remain muted unless you are speaking. If you're attending by phone, mute using *6 and use *6 again to unmute. If you're on the Teams platform, indicate that you wish to speak by using the raise hand feature. If you're attending by phone, please unmute with *6 and address the chair. When recognized, please identify yourself for the record. If you're not a commissioner and you're on the Teams platform, please keep your camera turned off unless you are speaking. The commission will vote on each matter by roll call so that we have a record of a quorum. I'll now ask each commissioner to indicate their presence. Vice Chair Bob Del Vecchio.
Present.
Janet Williams.
present.
Karen Latin.
Present.
Mary Sullivan.
Present.
Elise Gordon.
Present.
Associate Member Cheryl Meservey, I believe, is not here today. And I am here, so we do have a quorum. Nikki Smith, Chatham's Conservation Agent, will now lead us through the agenda, including whether any items are continued.
Yes.
Laptop speaker.
Sorry, the 3 Tilippi Run ones will be briefly discussed, but will end up being continued. 20 Jericho Lane will be continued, and 37 Clamshell Drive will be continued. So we can vote on those as we get to them. The first one is a request for a minor plan change for 8 Windmill Lane, Howard C. III and Inga E. Walker, map 16A, parcel 22H9, SE 103506. And this is to change the plan to remove a pool, reconfigure a deck, and modify the mitigation plantings. I don't know if John is on the call. Doesn't seem like it, so. So basically, the overall project was removal of the pool, slight change of the deck. They, I believe his calculations said it was reduction of 126 square feet of hardscape, so they reduced some of the mitigation plantings. And we had talked about this at the last meeting, that it was okay for just a change in plan instead of an amended order.
All right, seems relatively straightforward. I had a couple of questions, but I guess I won't ask them because no one's here to answer them.
Do they have to do with the size of the mitigation?
Yes.
That's what my questions are
Yes.
too.
Well, you ask it. Let's see if it's the same.
Well, I understood the narrative to say they're dropping it from 750 to 740, 10 square feet, but I look at the plan, it's showing 750.
Oh, no, the way I read it, okay, I guess I'll be them.
Okay.
The way I read it was it only was required to be 740, but they gave it 750, but it's actually reducing from last time from 1,015.
Oh, there was 1,000, that's the figure I didn't have.
Yeah.
That was 1,015 was approved, and now it's 750.
Yep.
So that's 126, 250, yeah,
It's about right.
that's about right.
Even though I was going to say, if they had shown up, is that a number of applicants in this scenario would have just leave the mitigation and and we move on. But
It often happens.
yes, but no, that message is unreceived. So anybody have any other comments, questions, concerns about the proposed change? This is
It's just a
it's
change in
just a plan change.
Yeah, so I'll just send them a letter saying it was approved and this is the official plan.
Yeah.
The one thing I do like is that a pool is being taken away. I mean, you know, when you think about it, a deck is easier to deal with. In the future, a pool is very invasive on the land. So I'm glad that they are taking that away.
Yep, a lot less water usage and all that stuff.
All right, so I think we can make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the plan change for 8 Windmill Lane.
Latin second.
Roll call vote. Bob?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So that is approved.
All right, next up, we have a request to amend an order of conditions for 65 Squanto Drive, Scott and Judith Stewart, map 10C, parcel E16, SE 103376, installation of 2 timber walls to minimize the slope. And the representative is present.
I think, oh, that's right, it's here now, isn't it? This is only our second time being live, so.
I have actually an amended.
So this is just phase one. She had come in earlier to say that there was a slight amendment to the plan, but since it was phase one, I said that was fine, because it didn't change really the scope of what they're amending. Thanks.
I'm Jeannie Branson from Pine Tree Landscaping, and I'm going to make sure you,
Oh, up here? You're being
You're being,
motioned and moved.
okay, you want me to sit?
If you're going to be here, yes, please.
Oh, here?
Okay,
Oh,
I'll be here.
I thought you were pointing over there, okay.
All right.
It's up to you, sir.
Oh, either one will work, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. I'm Jeannie Branson from Pine Tree Landscaping, and I'm representing Judy and Scott Stewart. We were called into the process of their renovation and landscaping last fall. She asked us to install the remediation plantings in the conservation area, and we did that. And she has subsequently asked for us to be involved in looking at the drainage issue, the erosion issue on the west side of the property. Once the new garage and addition was installed, we had, well, I should back up and just say that in April, I think you all remember that we had 2 significant rainstorms, at which point we saw significant erosion on that slope. And I called in a couple of contractors to look at that and advise us about what to do. And the initial copy of the diagram that you have of the site plan shows 2 walls coming out in order to support the potential erosion. And subsequent conversations with other contractors they've basically said that that won't be sufficient to control the amount of erosion and the slope of that area, and suggested that we put in 3 walls, which you now see on the revised plan that I gave you. The drop is probably close to 10 feet from the top of the area down to where it kind of flattens off a bit before it drops down into the conservation area. And in April, when we had those rainstorms, enough soil actually fell down that it covered and went over the top of the straw bales that we had put down there to protect that area. Once we get this all graded and where it needs to be, we plan on putting native grass in that area, and that will further help control the erosion. But for now, we believe that the best thing to do is to put in timber walls coming out from, perpendicular from the side of the garage and the house, about 8 to 10 feet probably, and attaching to a wall that runs parallel to the side of the garage and house, and carries down to the lower level of the back end of the house, the north side of the house. The walls range somewhere between 20 and 30 inches, so they're not significantly high, but by grading them and terracing them that way, we hope to be able to minimize any further erosion issues in the future.
That's it, okay.
Fairly straightforward. Any questions?
Well, okay. This is just phase one, so the only question that we're deciding today is whether this is within the scope of the approved project to go forward. But my question is, assuming we answer that yes, that it is there, what more information would you be presenting to us when we get to the phase two, which is looking at the proposal in detail? Is this it, basically, so that?
Well, it really is. I mean, it's going to be very simple. Along the left side, we've planted the eastern red cedar that were required by the conservation plantings. Those will certainly help once those root out. It's a very narrow area, so there's really not a whole lot we can do to minimize the erosion aspects there. So we'll be using 6 by 8 by 8 timbers. We'll be putting dead men in to help support because of the levels of the sloping. But I'm not real sure. Obviously, if you have additional information you'd like, I can do my best to bring that to the meeting.
Yeah, I thought, my initial reaction was if this is it, then maybe we would just proceed, to phase two, but I have questions, so maybe this is a good opportunity for us to let you know what some of our questions are, and then we can maybe get those answers. Going back to the original approved project, unless we approved a prior amendment that I can't recall, and that's definitely a possibility, I'm looking at the original approved mitigation plan, which had 4 existing pine trees running along that western edge that were staying in place and to be augmented by 1 red cedar that was to be added to it. And all of those pine trees have been removed, which,
Because you went out there? Or,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, they're not there. So it's just bare, and it is very steep. It's a real problem. And I think that the removal of the pine trees may be playing a role in the lack of stability now in that sloping surface. I also noticed that the location of the dry well, the drain, is over closer to the western boundary than I think we had approved, where there's nothing. It's on a flat area. I don't know how it's acting to prevent the runoff from going down the slope in the first place. So maybe what I was thinking is maybe there's a way of redoing that to capture that stormwater flow before it goes down while it's still just coming off the driveway area. I don't know, but I guess when I look at these walls, the first thing I always think about is, the law of unintended consequences. What happens when the flow is redirected by these walls? Where is it going to go, and what impact is it going to have where it gets
Well,
pointed?
there's several things that could help with that. The first thing is that when the driveway is done, part of the problem too is that, everything is coming in off the street because the area has been flattened so much by the construction vehicles. So once the driveway is done, there will be a slight raise to that, berm that as you enter the driveway. So that flow of water will be redirected back into the street drains as opposed to down on their property. The drain where it is right now has two of the is connected to two of the downspouts. So that drain carries not only water that collects on the driveway and slopes down that way, but also the roof runoff. One thing we could do is, when we grade that area, we could grade that along the west side of the property so that it's slightly higher than the area where the drain is. So any water sloping down that way comes back towards the drain. So we could minimize the amount of water then that heads down the slope.
Is there a possibility of putting any other drains or dry wells on the slope or at the bottom of it?
There is one at the bottom as well. There's one in this bottom corner of the house, the bottom northwest corner of the house. There's a drain down there as well.
Okay, I don't see it on the,
I don't see it on
the
the
plan.
site plan either,
Yeah, okay.
but there was one added there as well. And I know it's connected to at least one of the downspouts.
okay.
It's possible that at the base, we could do something that helped gather additional runoff into that drain.
Okay. I'll yield to other questions, but I'll just ask that when we come back, see if you can find out what happened to those pine trees.
Yeah, since I wasn't involved at that point, Nicole, do you know anything about the amended order of conditions that might have addressed that? I know they got approval to remove some trees, but again, that was before I got involved.
Okay.
Are we talking about the pines in this area where the walls are?
Yep.
I mean, they say TBR, which is to be removed.
I'm looking at the previous plan.
Yeah, does that say?
So,
They weren't shown as being removed.
well, I'm not sure whether the depiction on this previous amended order plan showed, it's not clear to me whether those are depicting trees that are to be put in or trees that are to be taken out.
The standard protocol that Blue Flax uses, who did this, is if they're just identified, they're just there.
They're
If there's an
there.
X through it, they're removed, and
Yeah.
if there's something else that says to be
Yeah,
added.
the Blue Flax plan dated December 4th of 2020 has, it looks like they're supposed to plant 3 trees,
Yes.
and they removed the 2 that say TBR, they removed those, but they're supposed to plant 3 down that row, like right in that same spot.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's where the cedars are now.
Yeah,
So
there are
there's
4 cedars.
along
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then, for those of you watching, the wall actually is being proposed to come this way and down, but it cuts into this replanting area, the striped planting area. So that would either, so something about that needs to be revised.
The other question that I had was that the previous plan showed a walkway between the house and the proposed trees there, whereas this plan, it's a little unclear whether there's a walkway there.
There isn't. They don't have any plans to use that area as a walkway. In fact, it's really not big enough. There's a slope there,
The
and,
slope is intense.
and once those cedars start growing, they're going to reach out and, to the ends of the walls and cover that whole space. So there really isn't space to use it as a walkway or to carry things down there or anything like
So
that.
there will be no access, walking access on that side of the house.
There's going to be a slight amount of space between the ends of the walls and where the trees are, just for growth. I left that space to allow the trees room to grow.
Okay. Well, that should be made clear if and when you come back with the revised plan.
Okay,
What's
sure.
happening to all the changes, including
Show where the plantings are and their kind of their
Yeah.
intended size.
in addition, things like, oh, that hardscape is being removed relative to the previous plan, the walkway, for example.
Yeah, I don't show that on the plan I have. I don't show any hardscaping there.
Yeah, this is the same plan that Nikki was referring to, December 4th, 2020.
Yeah, there seems to have been discrepancies between the Ryder and Wilcox plan and the Blue Flax plan that maybe
Okay.
weren't ironed out in the beginning, back in 2020. So I think
Maybe that walkway wasn't there.
I'll give you copies or
Okay.
something of all of them, and we just want to make sure that everything that you're amending, when, assuming you come back for an amended order, is consistent with what's been between all the plans, basically. So-
Sure. There is a walkway along the east side of the house that is existing now, and there's no plans to change that. But as far as, in conversations I've had with the homeowners, they have no intention of using that as a walkway.
Okay.
And it would be difficult anyway.
I'm wondering why timber for the wall, because as a person who actually has timber wall and has stone walls, your timber walls are going to rot, especially if you're having a lot of drainage issues. The water is going to rot those. And so it's going to have to be replaced sooner rather than later. I'm just wondering if they considered something other than
We
wood.
did. Yes, we did. We looked at a stone, cement stone type product. And one of the reasons that we went with the timber was it allows us to use the dead men to give the support structure, because just the amount of soil coming down that area, we just felt that it needed that additional support. So as you get that pressure from water against the back of the wall, it doesn't move it, dislodge it, something like that.
Okay. They'll just have to replace it sooner.
The other thing that occurred to me is that if access isn't needed, or walking isn't going to occur there, is there an option for not using a wall or series of walls to slow down the water, but some sort of rain garden setup, so that it just slows all the water as it goes down that side. You don't have to worry about a sidewalk or anything.
Sure, that's an interesting idea.
But anyway, this is all.
It's something to think about.
Yeah,
I'll bring
something
it up
about-
with the customer too.
Because really,
Yep.
we got to keep in mind that what we're deciding on today is, as Nikki said, is phase one. Is this within the scope of the plan? And
Judith Stewart has her hand raised in
Online, okay.
on the,
Oh, thank you, yeah. Yes. So are you, Miss Judith Stewart, there's online, do you have something you wish to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that on the Blue Flax plan dated December 4th, that if you look across the triangle area of mitigation planting, there is an arrow that says existing walkway to be removed, which is pointing towards that brick walkway that goes under the new addition and up the left side of the garage.
I'm sorry, are you the homeowner or, oh, okay.
Yes,
okay,
yes,
okay.
I am.
All right. All right, good. That's helpful.
I have one last question. Following on Bob's suggestion about planting to remediate some of the stormwater flow issue, as opposed to harder surfaces to redirect it. You said you're talking about doing native grasses. Is that an optimum vegetation to put in to slow and absorb sheet flow coming through there?
Well, that's a good question. Given the space that we have to allow to the cedars to grow, I think so, because what you're looking at is by using the grass, you've got the full area covered with a rooted product that's going to minimize the drainage issues. I think that by having those kind of terraced levels filled with the native grass, I think it's a much better option than trying to put in some type of shrub that may have larger and deeper roots, but won't cover the amount of space.
Right, so the terraces, so as the cedars grow and expand, it's not going to interfere with the ability, the survivability of the grasses that are in those terraced areas?
Well, anything under the cedar will die, obviously, but the cedars are low enough to the ground, and I think with their branching, they'll be able to redirect around it. I don't think it'll be a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
The area around the walls that will be seeded with grass?
Yes,
Turf? And that drain is going to be within the driveway?
The drain here,
Yes.
yes, is within the driveway.
Okay, is there any way you can put some edging so the water from the driveway doesn't go down that hill?
There is currently edging there. It's, actually, it's timbers that are
Okay.
used to kind of form that. The house to the west of them is significantly higher too, so you've got that kind of a grade over there coming down.
Okay.
So that just helps support the driveway, so there is
Okay.
that. And I would imagine that if any further were needed in that area to do some blockage, we could consider that.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, so what issue, well, so we've talked about we talked about the rain garden approach. You're going to think about it. You and your client are going to think about it. We've talked about the trees that were removed. You're going to try to figure out whether that was according to plan
Okay?
or not. And, we need to make sure that we're working from the approved mitigation plan vis-à-vis this plan. So what I'm looking at shows 3 trees being planted there. Of course, I can't tell from this if that's going to stay the same. And if it was going to stay the same, do those retaining walls preclude that? Or mean that they have to be moved or something like that?
Are you talking about the four cedar trees that we
Yes.
planted there?
Yeah.
They will stay, and they will provide additional support for what the walls will give.
Okay,
So you'll have the cedar trees to the far west on the property line that will help control water coming from the west, as
that's all,
well as.
yeah, that's all fine. I just want to make sure that whatever you submit for us
Oh, I
is
see what you're
a
saying.
plan of
Yes.
record to show
Yes, shows those things.
everything.
Yes,
So we
okay,
know
got
exactly.
that in my
We know
notes.
exactly what we're getting.
If I could, the blue flax planting plan.
John?
The blue flax planting plan shows the grades and the proposed cedar and other pines in a lot more detail, and it's easier to look at than the Ryder and Wilcox plan. So if you could, instead of superimposing it on this one, put it on that
Sure.
one, would make it a lot easier, because we can there distinguish where it's coming into, coming into the mitigation area.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
And I think also, if you're planting grasses, it should be reflected on the plan that there will be grasses there and, whatever you're planting listed.
Okay, all right. Yeah, the grass I'm looking at is something like a harmony grass, so it's native grasses, gets, 12 to 14 inches
Just
tall.
needs to be on record.
Okay.
All right, any other helpful suggestions from us? No, all right. So we're looking for a motion then to approve Phase 1 of the amendment.
I'll make a motion to approve Phase 1 of the amendment to the order of conditions for 65 Squanto Drive.
Latin second.
Roll call vote, Bob,
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Elise,
Aye.
Mary.
Aye.
Still in the car, and I vote aye as well.
Great.
All
Thank
right, so
you.
assuming you can get the updated abutters list, get the abutter notification mailed out, do the revisions they've mentioned
Yep.
in time, it can be on the June 8th hearing.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, next we have the second request to amend an order of conditions. Again, I believe this is Phase 1, 22 Glover Square, Frederick and Deidre Swingle, map 15F, parcel 5, H1B, SE10 3527. Proposed replacement of a metal drain pipe with HDPE pipe of similar size.
Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Adrienne Lavolo of East Southeast, and I'm representing Frederick and Deidre Swingle, or owners of 22 Glover Square. Note on the plans, the drainage pipe. Am I still coming through? The drainage pipe noted with a D on the right third of the plan. The project was previously approved with the understanding that we would return to address this drainage pipe. During the hearing, the abutter raised the concern regarding the pipe as it is old and probably not very well constructed to begin with. The applicants considered either replacing the pipe or removing it and reconstructing the ditch. After reviewing these options, they decided that replacing the pipe in like size with HDPE industry standard. While reviewing these plans, they also realized that the access to the basement would be limited, so they seemed to think it was a fitting time to add a bulkhead with this permit. Because of the previous mitigation plantings included, in the first hearing, it was determined that the addition of this bulkhead, which adds 33 square feet, would be covered by plantings already decided. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. So the bulkhead, could you just, what is it exactly? What does it look like? Or it's steps. Oh,
Steps from the outside down into one's basement.
into the basement. So it's open steps. There's no
Door?
ads doing this. Okay.
There is a door.
It's got door.
Usually, there's.
Oh, it's a walk-in.
Yeah,
I mean, you
usually.
open the doors and step down.
Yeah, you open
Okay.
up the big hinged doors in the middle
Okay.
and walk down a few steps, yeah.
Okay. Questions?
Okay. So this was predicated on the requirement in the order of conditions to do an assessment of that pipe and decide whether it should be replaced or not. I assume that's the conclusion, but I'm just curious as to what was found when the pipe was gotten a good look at.
Sure. It was found that it was, I think, a bunch of old metal barrels welded together. It was some sort of jerry-rigged, decades ago project of a prior owner that,
Oh, it was a DIY project? I think?
yeah, it would
Oh,
seem
okay.
so, yeah.
As so many are. Is it functioning? Is it conveying water to that BVW?
It's in disrepair and potentially a danger. It's rusting out in places, so.
And what's going to be the process, the protocol for replacing it? Is it going to be, is trench going to be dug and have it removed, or is it going to be somehow
Yeah, that,
pulled?
just the standard practice. Hi.
Hi, Pat Eldridge came along to jump in if I had to. It'll be trenched out, so they'll start at the north end, dig out the old pipe, remove the old pipe, and then add HDPE as they go along. and they'll
Do you
make it
know,
down to the
oh,
south end.
what's the depth of that at the moment?
It's about 4 feet.
About 4?
It was really, when you look at the ditch on the other side, it's at a similar elevation.
Oh,
Because
okay.
they just put it right where the ditch was, covered over and let it keep flowing. And it's currently working. The neighbor has not been in communication about flooding in his backyard, but he just has that concern.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, and either one of you can answer. What would happen, what's the plan if it breaks during this process?
What, in the middle of construction of
Yeah,
it?
as
Or
as it's
It would be
being
to-
trenched and removed and...
it would be to fix the break, obviously.
You're talking about the old pipe or new pipe?
Old pipe.
Old pipe.
The old pipe, if it crumbles, it's rusting, then you have uncontained water flowing. How do you, just recent experiences has made us more sensitive to what happens sometimes when underground pipes can break during construction.
So they will drive the excavator over it, but they'll be straddling it, so there won't be direct weight over the pipe. But no, if there's a break, then they dig it out.
How long will the process take to trenching it, removing it, and getting the new one in?
3 to 5 days.
Okay. See, here we are going into the substance of it, and it's phase
Yeah, I
one.
know.
I'm sorry, I
It's
did
hard-
that.
it's
I
hard not-
jumped- I-
No,
yeah,
it's great
yeah.
to
Hard
have
not
the
to do.
feedback.
No, I know.
But yes, we are only, again, needing to decide whether this is in scope of the approved project, and it would certainly seem that it is
It
to
seems,
me.
given what we're talking about.
And I can't think of any helpful suggestions to make to do it differently. So,
No, I can't either. That's kind of what I was doing, was, is there something that we need you to come back with that's different from what you are presenting now? 'Cause I don't have anything.
I just wanted to be sure none of all the mitigation plantings, they haven't been done yet, I assume? Okay,
No, the project has not been started yet.
okay.
and the abutter, I remember the abutter last time, they're in the loop on this, and,
Well, they
okay,
were then, and they know that we were looking at it before the end of the project. We were going to address the pipe, whether it was replacement or
yeah,
reverting it to a ditch.
okay.
And it will be pitched correctly?
It will be pitched the same as it is today.
Okay, and that's
So
going to
We're
allow...
looking at replacing the pipe in the same location that it's in.
Okay, and that'll be sufficient to carry the water to the south?
It has worked for years or decades, so
You can always roll a marble down it, just,
And will the outlet be marked where it empties out into that wetland?
that'd be a good idea. So we can find it again, because we weren't able to recover it when we surveyed last year.
Yeah,
good idea, Bob.
okay, thank you.
All right. While you're talking, you can give us a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Phase 1 for the amended order of conditions for 22 Glover Square.
Latin second.
Roll call vote, Bob,
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Elise,
Aye.
Mary? Aye. Okay, and I vote aye as well. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, next up.
Keep clicking the wrong mic. Next up, we have the notices of intent for 75 Tulipy Run, 59 Tulipy Run, and 27 Tulipy Run, SE 10, 3546, 3545, 3547. And these were for the rock revetments and reconstruction and extension, as well as the return extension for 27 Tulipy Run. So that one was, we decided to send out a bid request to a third-party consultant. I sent out 4. One, I think, is working with Coastal on this project and thought they would be, so it's a conflict of interest. And then one gave an automatic reply from their email saying, I am not taking on any new work. The other 2 I haven't heard from yet, so hopefully they'll get back to us shortly. But I did, however, send something to Greg Berman yesterday, and he said, yes, no problem, I'll come out and take a look. So we at least have Greg Berman.
Thank you, Greg.
I was going to say, what's our plan for if we don't
So
have
if
anybody?
if Woods Hole Group and John Ramsey, who Dr. Bob also thought might have a conflict of interest just because he's worked with the federal property next door. So Woods Hole Group is kind of our best option, and Greg Berman has already agreed to go out. So Catherine and Greg, I will, Greg's not on the call, but he knows I'll be in touch, and Catherine, if I'll be in touch with you, and we'll try and figure out a day for at least the three of us to meet, and any commissioners that may want to go back out again.
Yep.
So unless you have anything else to add, Catherine, it's just a continuance at this point.
No, just that I did respond to you about the continuance being in 2 meetings instead of 1, just because if Greg does write a report, we want time to respond to it.
Okay, so that would be June 22nd, I believe. I'll double check.
Okay.
Yeah, so June 22nd.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. Continue to, for all three, yeah.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we continue 75 Tillipy Run, 59 Tillipy Run, and 27 Tillipy Run to the next hearing on June 22nd, 2022.
Latin second.
Roll call vote, Bob,
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Elise,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's hope we have some luck.
Can I just, Nikki, just want to clarify, so by June 22nd, Greg will have had an opportunity to go out there and
Yeah, I think we're going to get to, I
coordinate
think
with Catherine and you, and,
it sounded like he could go out sometime next week.
Oh, great.
And then his reports usually come in pretty quickly after that.
great.
He has kind of a standard template and then, modifies it per project, but yeah, he's usually pretty quick.
Okay.
And he works pro bono as far as.
Correct.
Boy,
That's always a plus.
gotta love that.
Even better.
All right, so
Well,
next.
not pro bono, but at no cost to the applicant.
Yes, he does get a paycheck,
does get-
but.
Yes, he gets paid.
Next, we have the notice of intent for 45 Hardings Lane, Teresa and Eric Peterson, map 14C, parcel 21, SE 103552, demo of existing dwelling and partial demo of the existing garage, and construction of the new dwelling outside of the aura, and construction of a swimming pool, patio, in addition to the garage. And that one, I listened to the hearing this morning, and the main thing was the Norway spruce issue, I believe. So they gave us that report. I don't know if David Clark or Bill or the people that did the spruce report are here at all.
David Clark is on the line. Dawn could not make it, who provided the report on the spruce. But I think just the pictures alone warrant removing the tree.
So, yeah, it certainly appeared to show evidence that it's a very old and beat-up tree, as we all expected, the report would say. The question for me, I guess, two questions really. In terms of mitigating for the tree, I don't know what the DBH of that tree is, but as you know, David, we have in recent times,
30.
we have in recent times asked for a multiple of DBH in terms of the trees that are planted to replace a large tree. And Janet she'll fill in on that as well, I'm sure. So the mitigation plan I think, is unchanged since last time.
Correct.
Okay. So I think that would be something to consider.
Oh, no, I believe he did submit a
We did,
mitigation.
well, okay,
Yeah,
but in terms,
there was some small changes.
there were small, I don't think the revision increased the number of trees, for example, to be planted.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think we were going to need mitigation for a damaged tree, but is that something new that the commission's going to require?
Well, I mean, all trees are, you can consider to be damaged, but this is a very large tree that acts as a habitat, provides food for a variety of animals, and it does have a lifespan ahead of it. Even as the report said, it doesn't sound like it's imminently going to die, but it does make the case that the tree, it makes the case basically it's going to die in the intermediate term, and that it would be a good idea to get some replacement trees growing to accommodate its removal, which I think you can argue that, and it makes perfect sense, I guess. But nevertheless, what I don't recall from the previous hearing is how many trees are being slated to be removed aside from that Norway spruce?
I don't think any.
The only other trees were the 3 trees, I believe, that were removed by the previous owner.
Okay, all right, well, that simplifies things.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was reminded of the fact that of the 7 trees that are proposed to be planted, 3 of them are arguably trees, the witch hazel and the 2 shad bushes. They are listed by some sources as being large shrubs, small trees. So I think there's room for discussion as to whether or not that adequately mitigates for the removal of what was a specimen tree. So that's one comment that I do have. The other comment that I have, and I actually passed this along after the last hearing because we got so busy talking about the Norway spruce that it was in my notes to ask, but I forgot to ask it, and then I sent it along to Nikki. I don't know, Nikki, if you passed it along to them, which was the mulch question. Because I didn't see any change to that effect in this plan. So I'll just go ahead and start fresh here since we're in open hearing. And that is that the planting beds for the mitigation, some of which is in the NDZ, calls for mulch, bark mulch, to be planted around the mitigation plants, which is not something that we typically see for mitigation plantings. And I think that there's at least 2 issues with that. First of all, yeah, go ahead. I know this is not your area. It is not your area. I know, but
Yeah, well, we can take the mulch off. I don't think that's an
it's
issue.
not. It isn't just taking off. What I think what we typically see, and you may agree with this, is that instead of mulch, you have native ground cover in between the native shrubs and trees that are planted, such that they grow and fill in, and they basically perform the same function as mulch. They keep weeds from growing there, but it's not mulch in a resource area, and especially in the NDZ.
No, that's fine.
Okay, good. Thank you. I think that's the better way to go.
Yep. And as far as any additional trees, when we came in with the project initially, we had more mitigation than what was required. And the revised plan shows even more mitigation in that we're fully restoring the NDZ, which was a request of the commission last time.
Okay, good point.
So I think this plan is above and beyond what your policies are. So I don't see the need for any more mitigation.
Well, it's sort of lucky in a sense for you that we're working on revised regulations in that regard. But anyway, those are the 2 comments that I had, so I'll open it up to others at this point.
My only question was, so like if you're looking at the bottom of the plan and the spacing between the vegetation is fairly sparse, is that going to stay, I believe it's existing lawn? is that going to stay lawn, or is it going to be disturbed and replanted with some other ground cover, or?
Yeah, I think I just agreed to infilling all those areas with a native grass mix or something that I'll leave it to Dawn to add to the plan, revise the plan again to show that.
Yeah, just a note saying what's going in the shaded area that doesn't have specific plants called out.
Anyone else?
We had talked about adding oaks, but that didn't happen. Oh, Mary.
Oh, Mary, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just a quick question, and maybe you guys, or maybe this was addressed last time, I don't remember. I see, where they're taking down part of the old garage, and they are putting in the shower and the air conditioning equipment. I thought we weren't having showers, would only have rinsing stations allowed in the 50 to 100 foot.
We can change the name of it to Wrenching Station.
Problem solved.
Well, that will trigger all of our requirements about no surfactants, chemicals, blah, blah, blah. We're gonna get drones to enforce all these.
Sorry, Janet.
That's okay. Apologize, my notes are not clear about, had we talked about the fence? Were we?
It
Where-
got scaled back, my site plan got scaled back to show what the fence that was on the landscape plan. So it doesn't go around into the or up to the no disturb zone and then follow the no disturb zone. So it's basically a fence to go from the building corner to the area where we're adding mitigation plantings where the large trees coming out, and a short return to the rear of the property, just so when that area grows in, there's really no direct access to the backyard from unwanted visitors.
Right. Okay, I do recall that, and I guess I'm looking at an older version of the site plan that has the pool fence still on it, so.
Yeah, that's been removed.
That's
yeah.
gone, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry about that. I think that they came in on different dates. So I got the landscape and the spruce thing online, but the site plan was missed because it came on a different date, right after the last meeting, I think. But yes, it did get reduced.
Okay. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. And lawn was taken out of the NDZ, so that's good. That's all I have.
Okay, anyone else? All right.
June 1st, yep.
So we'll need we'll need some sort of revision showing the removal of bark using native ground covers in their stead. Anything else to be asked for? Don't recall.
That was
Okay,
it.
I think that's it.
Just a new note saying the mulch is not going to be there and they'll do some sort of native grass mix.
Yep. Well, not grass, well, I would say ground cover, native ground cover, instead of grasses. And the,
Oh, yeah, rinse station instead of
that's right.
shower.
Rename the rinse station, or, yes, rename it. All right,
I'll make a motion that we send 445 Hardings Lane to the next work session for an order of conditions on June 1st, 2022.
Latin second.
roll call vote. Bob,
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Elise,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Thank you, David.
Welcome.
All right, next is 20 Jericho Lane, Mark Leibovitz, map 10B, parcel B2, SE 103541, removal of existing pier and relocation and reconstruction of a new pier. I don't know exactly why, but I think they're still kind of dealing with the zoning aspect of this. So they asked to continue to June 22nd.
I'll make a motion that we continue 20 Jericho Lane to June 22nd, 2022.
Latin second.
Roll call vote, Bob,
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Elise,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
and I vote aye.
All right, then next we have the, what would have been an order of conditions for 37 Clamshell Drive, O Real Estate Trust, map 16A, parcel H76, SE 103551, demo of an existing dwelling and construction of a new dwelling. So we had approved it to move on to an order of conditions, but zoning denied it full out. So I think 0 to 6 was their vote.
Ouch.
Something about, I think it's height and things like that for the neighborhood. So, so they are trying to redo the building plans. So they wanted to be continued to July 6th because obviously we don't want to issue an order of conditions if plans are changing and everything. So, yep, July 6th.
I'll make a motion that we continue 37 Clamshell Drive to July 6th, 2022.
Latin second.
Roll call vote, Bob,
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Elise,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
and I vote aye.
All right, the next item is the enforcement order for 314 Morris Island Road, just to ratify the enforcement order and decide what fee we want, or fine we want. I didn't write a lot on this because this was all before my time, so I figured people that were on the board when this started happening would have a little more opinions on what they wanted, as far as the first page, extent and type of activity. And then I'm just asking them to, I guess, confirm what date we want them to file something by. I said June 22nd. That gives them a month. I would imagine they'll probably come in front of us and ask for, July or August, but we can deal with that when that happens. So it would just be a restoration plan, not a notice. DEP has been strongly advising against having people file notice of intents for work that we don't want to have.
We already did that with this, and that was a
Right.
mistake.
Yeah, so this is basically remove your shed in your garden and restore it. And then if you want to do some work after that and put a garden somewhere and a shed somewhere, then maybe you can come back with an NOI. But right now, you just need to get rid of your stuff and restore. So I said June 22nd. I figured that would be enough time to get us to mail this out, which will probably happen tomorrow. And then, give them a little bit of time to figure out what they want to do and hopefully come up with some sort of plan. So June 22nd for that, but as far as the extent and type of activity, all I wrote was installation of an unpermitted shed, garden, and removal of previously required mitigation plantings. So I don't know if there was anything else that.
There's also a road going to the shed that was cut through the
Okay.
mitigation area. So who wasn't with us? You weren't, but you were with?
I was.
Okay, all right.
I went out with Tom.
Okay.
That was, I was just barely.
Oh, just barely made it, okay. And
Yeah.
so Mary, are you familiar with this?
I don't think Mary was here
No,
either.
I was not there at the
Okay,
time, but
okay, all right,
I've
so,
just heard about it since then.
yeah. So just a quick recap, it's, there was previous mitigation area along the, what is that, it's a channel or tribute, or estuary, I guess it's an estuary area there. And we had a number of meetings on this, and ultimately told him that he needed to remove his vegetable garden and restore the mitigation, and it didn't happen. So that was last
Summer.
summer. Yeah, nothing happened as far as we can tell.
Yeah, they came with an NOI and then they withdrew it.
Right.
And then I believe they are no longer using the company that filed the NOI for them. So, so I don't know if they have anyone working on anything or not. So it's just going to go to the homeowner, and hopefully they get back to me.
Right, the NOI we heard and denied.
They withdrew it, yeah.
Yeah, they withdrew.
Yeah, it was an NOI for what they were doing, and it was not going to go.
We didn't even
I
even
Not
hear it.
good. I think they withdrew.
No, they withdrew.
Because
Yeah, they were going to come back, if I remember, this was like right when I started, so I believe that they withdrew it knowing that it was going to get a denial and they were going to come back with a revised plan, and then that's when I believe the homeowners chose to not use that company any longer.
Okay, and didn't hire another company apparently, so. Yeah, so, yeah, there's, more exposition that could be put here, but the question that we have, one question we have is whether we issue fines now.
I don't want to do the $300 a day until I know they've received the letter. I would say do one $300 fine that goes with this enforcement order, just to hopefully get their attention and get them to at least contact me. And then, but the $300 a day, I mean, I had a conservation agent meeting yesterday. They're getting thrown out left and right.
Oh, okay.
So it's almost not exactly.
It's also really an administrative burden. 'Cause
Yeah.
you have to go out there and do it every day.
So I would do the 300, give them the benefit of the doubt that they'll contact me and start to work on this. And then if they don't, we can start
Yep.
increasing.
Yes, and the key to that is having dates certain. So having June 22nd for the submission is a good one, because if they miss that deadline and we haven't given an extension, then you can get it, there's another violation right there. So, I mean, we can try to leverage compliance that way through the various pieces of this.
But we need to be, so if for action that they're required to perform, that would be under the order section. And you have remove replantings, replanting of disturbed areas and replacement of plantings. So, in other words, restore it to the condition of the previously approved mitigation plan?
So, yes, I mean, definitely needs to follow the approved mitigation plan, but obviously if they remove the shed and the garden, there's going to be, bare patches of earth. So those would need to be planted with some sort of native vegetation as well.
So we should probably say that then,
Yeah.
so that the plan should show how they're going to restore it back to the original approved mitigation. Because they will have to replant.
Yeah. I do recall that they were claiming that the mitigation was overtaken by invasives, and there's nothing they could do to stop it, as I recall. So,
Well, they did put something trying to stop it. They
well,
put a shed and a vegetable garden.
They replaced invasives with, a vegetable garden in the shed, so. But we should be clear on what we expect it to look like. And I guess if they get back to you, they might try to alter that plan to some degree, but yes, we just proceed from there somehow.
Yeah, I mean,
That's our
we
starting
pretty much have to
position.
take it in stride as it comes, so. So I'm change it to removal of shed, garden, and replanting of any disturbed areas with native vegetation and replacement of original approved mitigation plantings. And then you said something, there was a driveway or a walkway?
Well, from the road
Path.
to the shed, they cut through vegetation and put a road there.
Okay.
So it's not just the shed, it's
So I'll say unpermitted shed and
basically
path.
it's basically a driveway.
Driveway,
It's a driveway to the shed.
because they were building an extension to the shed, so I think the driveway was to get their materials and equipment in there to build the extension.
All right, I'll say installation of unpermitted shed and access to shed. And then we
Yeah,
don't have to do semantics on whether it's a driveway or a path or.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I think we ought to actually be a little clear, because they may have access on the other side of it. They might be able to say, well, that's the access I thought you meant, but it is indeed,
Is it
it's a vehicle access. It's vehicle access to the shed.
vehicle access? Okay.
Yeah, this is, it's really unfortunate. I think you could describe it as egregious. And we want to let them know that we are entirely serious about this.
And it has been quite a while since
Been a while.
they withdrew that NOI. So they've had an opportunity. It's not like it was last month.
No, there's plenty of time. All right, so you will revise, Nikki, and then we need to sign it.
I have the signature page here.
Just the signature page by itself, okay.
I made the revisions already, so it should go out.
As we
No
just-
DEP file number because this wasn't approved. Yeah, so just the signature page, and then I made the revisions. It'll go out in the morning.
Okay, so we can just pass that around while we're proceeding with whatever else we have here. Oh, I guess we need to vote.
Yes, vote to, I mean, if you want me to read anything, I know you don't have what I changed, so if you want me to read any of the sections.
Sure, just read the action again.
All right, so the extent and type of activity was installation of an unpermitted shed and vehicle access to shed, garden, and removal of previously required mitigation plantings, and the activity, or the order, they shall cease and desist from any further activity. Resource area alterations resulting from said activity shall be corrected, and a restoration plan shall be filed on or before June 22nd of 2022 for the following: removal of shed and vehicle access, garden, and replanting of any disturbed areas with native vegetation, and replacement of original approved mitigation plantings.
Okay with everyone?
Sounds good.
Okay. So I guess we're a motion to approve the enforcement order.
To ratify the enforcement order.
Make a motion to ratify the enforcement order for 314 Morris Island Road
Latin,
$300 fine.
and a $300 fine.
Latin second.
Roll call vote, Bob.
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Did we skip
No,
over
it's a long
20
car trip,
Jericho
though.
Lane? We did continue it.
Yes, it was continued to June 22nd.
Okay.
Next, we have,
So just Mary, do we need Mary's signature on this?
no, we just need a majority.
Okay.
So that's fine. Other business, the appointment of Karen Latin as the conservation representative to the Community Preservation Committee.
So this would be a reappointment, right? Because you've done it for a year?
You're doing another.
Yeah.
Yes, I replaced Tom for the year.
Oh, that's right. That's
So
right.
my term is up June 2022.
And it's a richly rewarding experience, I assume?
Actually, I enjoyed it.
Oh, good, all right.
And I hope you all voted for all the CPAs at the town meeting.
I think those passed
Yeah, they all.
swimmingly, I think.
Well, one was pulled out of the bulk, but it did pass, so.
Yeah. Okay,
The one to give $100,000 to the Penrose in Orleans,
yeah.
that
Oh, yes.
every town in the area is giving 100,000 to, and Orleans is giving $1 million.
Yep.
All right, well, I don't see any other candidates vying for the position. I don't see any other hands. Mary, or would you like to throw your hat in the ring? No.
No, I would like to encourage Karen to continue her good work.
So,
Excellent idea.
yeah. So with our appreciation to Karen, I think we can have a motion.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Karen Latin as the conservation representative to the Community Preservation Committee.
William seconds.
Didn't think I could.
Yeah, that's true. Roll call vote, Bob.
Aye.
Janet.
Aye.
Can't ask you, I can ask Elise.
Aye.
Mary.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. So congratulations.
Thanks.
Karen.
So
A hard-fought race.
I think now it has to go to
You
the
win,
select board.
Yeah.
Select board has to vote on, yeah.
Yeah, so I will email the town administrator office, just give them our official vote, and then I think it will probably be on an agenda just for them to accept, which,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need to be, I don't think you would need to be present or anything. I'm sure it's just a 1-minute vote.
Yeah.
Unless you did something terrible, I don't know.
They said I might have to be re-interviewed, but I was never interviewed, so.
Oh, okay.
Details.
They'll let you know if you need to be present.
When's your conscom term up?
I don't know.
Not 2022. I think only one of us.
I think in
is up.
23.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Okay.
I think I'm 23 as well. I think we both are.
I was filling a term, but I
Yes.
think they only did a year into it, so that would mean I have 2 years. So when did I come on? 2021,
21.
February
I think you
2021.
just passed a year, because I feel like you were,
February 2021 is when I started. Yeah.
I lose track of this stuff.
we have
Okay,
it in our
I'm looking.
office, I just don't have it memorized, but.
Here, I'm looking.
Well, it's fine. I'm sure that everything will.
I am 2023,
Okay.
and so is Elise, and so is Janet. Bob, you're
Better not all
2022.
leave.
Yes, he is. I've already talked to him about that
Wait a minute.
before the meeting started.
Did we get to reappoint you?
We want to know what your decision is. We won't put you on the spot. That's not.
Yeah, Bob said he's,
All right, so we'll
He's in
add
it for
that
the
to
long
a
haul.
future agenda to get that solidified.
Yay.
all right, so that's it for that. All right.
We have minutes for April 27th of 2022.
On the second page, under 4 Homestead Lane East, is it, the third line, coastal bank direct impact is 8.3 square feet? Is that true? I don't know. And then the next sentence, the is no new impact, should be there is no new impact. And I think under other business, there is no way to vote William Dougherty. I think we just have to have off of the commission instead of be taken off. I don't
So
know.
he's just not going to be renewed.
Yeah, I think we don't need taken off, be taken. And on the last page, under the Morris Island, we'll add to the next agenda, not nest agenda, to vote on a ratified enforcement law order. That's what I saw.
I have a couple of things. On the last page, again, for other business, 98 Aunt Nabby's Lane, should be Lane, not Lasney.
Oh, I have Lane.
I have Lane.
I do too. That's weird.
Really?
I don't know, I have Lane.
Probably one of those things where you printed it and then I went back and changed it or
Yeah.
something.
Did you fix Pier?
Yeah, is Pier
I just
fixed?
did right now.
And then on 314 Morris Island Road, the first sentence is a little bit awkward. With a violation for the shed in the garden, which a letter of violation was issued. Maybe and a letter of violation was issued.
Or for which?
For which a letter.
Or which.
Or which,
yeah.
okay.
A letter of violation was issued, and I can,
And then the next sentence,
date.
NOI was submitted and withdrawn with a new filing to be submitted within a couple of months. I guess that's okay, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's okay.
So, Nikki, to make your life easy, that letter of violation was issued December 20th, 2020.
thank you.
I just happened to find it when I was trying to go, when did we?
I don't know why I don't have the file down here with me, but.
The only other thing I had was in the first one, 19 Dew Drive. 1, 2, 3, 4 line down, the hot tub is movable, and it should say, and it is to be located just off the edge of the patio. And 1, 2, 3 more lines down, Mr. Dietrich will ask the neighbor to, the pine trees are not, where did I take it from? Pine trees will add 2 oak trees to the mitigations. There's a word here that says will ask to add 2 oak trees, right? And they agreed to add 2 oak trees, not just to ask about it. So I just wanted to make sure that's clear. The sentence that says will ask to add 2 oak trees should just say will add 2 oak trees.
I missed that.
I remember it only because I asked about it. Why are you only putting in 2 trees for 4 you're taking out? What's up with that?
Anything else? Should be it, okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for April 27th, 2022.
Latin second.
Roll call vote, Bob,
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Elise,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
still traveling, and I vote aye.
I'll be home tonight.
All right, so the only other thing that came up this morning, Ted Keon, and I emailed a few of you about it already, just because I knew there was something, and I wanted to get to him as soon as possible. But Ted came to say that they're doing, Spencer Kennard is doing a flyover of imagery that he does pretty much every year. So I couldn't remember what property we had wanted the images of. So you got back to me on that, and it was, see, I already forgot.
Linnell Lane.
Linnell Lane, yes. So Ted had already done those. He thought maybe he was going to be flying today, but it turns out it's going to be the next nice day. So if anyone else has any specific properties or areas you want imaged from above, just let me know so I can get that to Ted as soon as possible.
How about the Talippi area? Just so we have it on record from above and going down past the third house so we can see what's going on at that neighbor that hasn't asked for.
Where there's no revetment.
Yeah.
I
So-
assume that's probably on his list, but I will
Yeah,
make sure.
I assume, but, I want to make sure we
Probably where
go
they're going
beyond
first.
the
Go beyond.
3 properties so that we can see, especially for future in case they come back eventually. I don't know. But that's one that would be good to have in the record.
Yep. If you think of any more, I guess send it to you.
Yeah, just let me know.
All right.
And that's
Other
all I have.
business? Any other business? What's the docket look like next time? Is it,
It should be pretty quiet.
is it?
Couple orders at the most, maybe in COC or something, but I think it's pretty quiet. We just had a filing deadline yesterday for June 8th, and I think Crystal said we got 3 in. So we'll have 3 new ones, but nothing was continued from today to June 8th, so we may have 3 or, we'll have at least 3 hearings, maybe a COC or, you know, if they get their amended order paperwork in or something like that.
Right. So it's unusually quiet.
It is.
Don't know what's going on.
I can.
Have an idea what's
I
going
have an idea. I bumped into Teresa the other day.
Oh, she might know.
Yeah, well, no, she said, so how's your workflow going? And I said, well, it's unusually quiet, and we've canceled a hearing because and she said, that's never happened. I said, yeah. And I said, so what are you seeing? And she said the same thing, a very precipitous drop-off. And we decided that it's a combination of, you know, financial uncertainty and inflation and supply chain uncertainty and issues and labor shortage issues. And people are saying, are second thinking whether they want to go forward with significant projects right now. They're
Have a perfect storm to this.
a little bit, yep.
Everything's expensive.
And, yeah, and getting more expensive by the day. And so they can't tell how long the process will take. They're locking themselves into who knows what it will cost. So a lot of people are saying, let's wait.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people come in and say, can I switch out this plant for this one because you can't find this plant? And I'm, you know, so as long as it's obviously a similar plant, then
Yeah.
yes. But yeah, so it's, people are having a hard time finding their plantings, they're having a hard time finding their siding and all sorts of stuff.
So if your theory is correct, it may remain this way for a while.
For a while. So it's a good opportunity to move ahead with the regulation update project.
That is
So
true.
Karen's going to get me her comments on the first group. I'm working now on the second group, which is only 2, which is docks, piers, and catwalks as one.
Only.
As one group, just, you know, and the other one is ACEC, because we're one of the few towns that doesn't have specific regulations about what does it mean, you know, it's a heightened standard, but that, you know, we don't have anything specific. So I'm going to try to get something
You're right.
specific put together about that.
This is a great opportunity to forge ahead on all that.
Yeah.
So
That's it.
without further ado,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Latin second.
roll call vote, Bob,
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Elise,
Aye.
Mary, if you're still there.
Aye.
There you are, and I vote aye as well.
All right.